What's up, guys? So Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This is my first review in my Star Wars movie review series. Like I said in my past reviews, if you didn't catch my reviews for Peanuts movie and Spectre, they're up on this channel right now. But what I did say in those reviews and what I'm going to tell you now is today, right now, I'll be giving you my in-depth thoughts on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, this coming Friday. I believe it's the 13th. I'll be reviewing Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. The following Friday, Revenge of the Sith. And then the following Friday after that, A New Hope. After that, Empire Strikes Back. Following Friday, Return of the Jedi. All leading up to the Friday after that, which is December 18th, where I'll post my review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. So, let's get started. The Phantom Menace. The film starts up with the opening crawl talking about trade dispute in the galaxy. So they have sent two Jedi Knights to settle the dispute. That's the way the movie starts. Which, as you're reading that, I just rewatched this movie last night, and as you're reading the opening crawl, you think, this all started because of a trade dispute. So you're introduced to Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, it starts out, the dialogue starts, and I have a bad feeling about this. Not about the mission, Master. About something elsewhere, elusive. The dialogue is fine in this scene. I didn't think it was that bad. A lot of people like to say that the dialogue in The Phantom Menace is absolutely horrible. Now, sure, some of the dialogue in this movie is horrible, but some of it is bearable. And I think that the, dialogue in the opening scene, it's fine. I don't think it's horrible at all. And I think that the opening scene is very entertaining, kind of. But then when you get introduced to the people from the Trade Federation, the voices you hear, the sound, does not add up to their mouth movements. Now, I don't know why George Lucas didn't want to just CGI their mouths. If the puppets weren't working, he likes to CGI everything else. Why couldn't you just let these people's mouths sync up with their voices? Seriously, it's a big distraction. You look and you're like, okay, well, that's nice, So then we get to see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, start to fight the droids, and it's cool, and the music starts, and John Williams, classic score starts to play, and it's great. Everything's good. And then we get down on the land, and we meet Jar Jar Binks. So a lot of people think that this character is absolutely annoying. Everybody hates him. Everybody can't stand him. And for me, rewatching the movie, I never thought that Jar Jar was that annoying. Now, don't shoot me because it's just my opinion. I watched this movie last night. I was not that annoyed by Jar Jar Binks. Now, sure, he's a silly character, and some of the things that he does in this movie are, very, kid-friendly. He's just not the greatest character, but he didn't annoy me. Now, sure, he's a bad character, and sure, what is he there for? He was just there, just to talk, I guess, and just to have someone go with them on their journey. He's not a good character, but he's not annoying. I don't think he's annoying. Sure, the voice could get a little loud and obnoxious at sometimes, but I never was thinking to myself, oh my god, it's Jar Jar again. No, I wasn't thinking that. But then after we go into the Gungan city, and, we meet the boss Nass, and he's just this big Jabba the Hutt sort of guy sitting there, and he goes, it's just weird, but that happens, and they go in the ocean, and there's really kind of bad CGI. We see these big, fish things killing other fish as, their little ship is floating through the water, just, head for that outgoing, all that fun stuff. So then they finally get on land in Naboo, and they save the queen, all that kind of stuff. They hijack the ship, and then they find out, oh, there's something wrong after we've been through, kind of battle in space. We find out, okay, well, there's something wrong with our ship. We need a new part. Where can we stop? We'll stop there at Tatooine. So then they get to Tatooine. This is where we're introduced to Anakin Skywalker. For me, watching this movie, the acting's not that good, by this kid, Jake Lloyd. Are you an angel? An angel. No, she's not an angel. We meet C-3PO, Anakin's built him and all this sort of stuff, which is great, it's cool, all that fun stuff, and then there's this big pod race. Qui-Gon makes a deal with Watto about, I'll get my ship parts if Anakin wins the pod race, all this sort of stuff's going down. A lot of betting and gambling is going down within this 35 minutes. We're actually at Tatooine for about a good 40 minutes we're there. And a lot of it is talking and negotiating, and then there's about a 10-minute pod race sequence, which is pretty cool. And the CGI, it's good. The CGI in the scene is fine. It's not really that noticeable how, if it really stands out that much, it's fine. It sort of blends in. And it's about a 10-minute sequence. And I always remember, even as a kid when I was watching this movie, and especially last night, I'm definitely thinking this pod racing sequence is very, very long. It's about 10 minutes for 3 laps. It could have been maybe like 6 minutes. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I just felt like the pod race was a little long. And if you guys have seen Chris Stuckman's review for The Phantom Menace, go check that out if you haven't. He's a great YouTuber, and tell him I sent you. But there's something I noticed in his review. And it's true, in the pod racing sequence, almost all the shots go from left to right. And as Chris said in his review, it feels very stale after a while. Maybe that's why I feel like the pod racing sequence is too long. Because it's the same shot over and over again. After the pod race, Anakin Skywalker, he's freed, Qui-Gon frees him, he's not a slave anymore. So then as Anakin and Qui-Gon are running back to their ship so they could leave and go to Coruscant, the ship is literally invisible. It's not even that far away. For some reason, Qui-Gon is running. I don't know if he sees Darth Maul, chasing them. I don't know what's going on there. But he's running. And Anakin is running. And the ship is right there. And Anakin Skywalker's line in this scene is, "Qui-Gon, sir, wait, I'm tired." That's the time I think in my head, the ship is right there. You see it. Why are you telling him to wait? Get there and rest. It'll take him not even a minute to get there. Seriously. What? That is some of the bad dialogue by George Lucas. Why? Just why? And then the fight with Darth Maul, Qui-Gon and Darth Maul going down in the desert, that's really cool. And then finally, Qui-Gon gets back on the ship, they got their parts, Anakin meets Obi-Wan. "You're a Jedi too? Pleased to meet you," or "pleasure to meet you," or whatever he says. It's just like, yeah, great. Okay, great acting, Jake Lloyd, yeah. "You're a Jedi too? Oh! Pleased to meet you." Seriously, what's going on here? We're at Coruscant now. This is the time where for me, this is the movie that, it's maybe not the greatest, but for me, up until the Coruscant scene, I felt like the pacing was it was very, very fluent. I felt as though that I was, entertained the whole way through until the Coruscant scene, where we get to Coruscant, and we're only there for about maybe 13 minutes total. And it feels a bit longer than that, simply because when we get there, it's like a courtroom drama. How we see Chancellor or Senator Palpatine at the time, we see him and Amidala talking a lot on how he's going to be Chancellor soon, and there's a war going on, and there needs to be the trade situation that's going on. And then it's just like a courtroom drama. And you're watching it thinking, okay, what did this movie just turn into? You're looking at the screen and you're like, I don't care about any of this. I don't care about trade disputes in the Federation or whatever the hell's going on. I don't care about it. I want to see more Jedi stuff. I want to see more action. And the film just comes to a halt at that Coruscant scene. Really, nothing happens there. Nothing. Nothing really happens at Coruscant. Nothing. The only thing that happens is Queen Amidala decides, let's go back to Naboo with my people. Okay, great. So you were at Coruscant just to be there so we could see Yoda and we could see Mace Windu. And everybody else in the Jedi Council, they just sit there and do nothing and look at each other. Why are they there? They don't speak. They don't do anything. They sit there and look at each other. Before we leave Coruscant, Master Qui-Gon, sir, I've heard Master Yoda talk about midichlorians. I've been wondering, what are midichlorians? I don't care what a midichlorian is. Then we get back to Naboo, things start to pick back up, and the fight begins. And it's the fight, there's a lot of stuff going on at this scene, which some of it kind of just made me think, oh my god, you know, it's an extended action sequence. There are 4 things going on. There's 4 fights going on in the scene. You have Anakin going in a little ship he gets in, which is on autopilot, and he goes up into the space to fight the droid-controlled ship and everything that's going on up there, which is just unnecessary, should have been cut from the film, we didn't need it. And that means if we didn't need that, we didn't need the Gungans fighting the droids. We just didn't need it. Why? What does it do? It doesn't do anything. It's just there to be there. To add time to the film, I guess. I don't know. You don't need to see Jar Jar Binks and the rest of his Gungan family fighting the droids. You don't need that. The only 2 fights you needed in this end sequence were Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul, which is a fantastic lightsaber duel, by the way, and John Williams' Duel of the Fates is fantastic. I loved it. The best scene in the whole entire movie, in my opinion, is that lightsaber duel. Then the other one you need is, you know, Padme and the rest of her protectors, you know, the Panaka and all them, fighting through the palace to get to the Viceroy. That's good. You don't need Anakin going through the thing, now this is pod racing and all that other crap. What is it? All the yippee and whoops and this is not good. You don't need any of that. It's all that cheesy dialogue. You don't need it. Just get rid of it. And all the don't even get me started about the Gungan fight. Oh my god. The control ship has been destroyed. Look. And the one part, Jar Jar gets his foot stuck on one of the wires to one of the dead battle droids, and he's like tripping over it. What? So then the end of the movie, the end of the lightsaber duel, I should say, Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon. Okay, that's a sad moment. Qui-Gon's dead. Obi-Wan comes out, has some great, action, lightsaber dueling with Darth Maul one-on-one. He breaks his double-sided lightsaber in half, so then he only has the one side. And then Darth Maul force pushes Obi-Wan over the side. So that Obi-Wan is just holding onto this thing. If he falls, he's going to die. And Darth Maul, instead of force pushing him down, he's taking his lightsaber and he's just going like this on the ground in front of him. Why? What does that show? You have the Force, you idiot! Force push him down! So he jumps out, he gets in front of Darth Maul, and he cuts him in half, and Darth Maul falls into the pit, into this thing, and he gets cut in half. So that happens. Darth Maul dies, Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan is now Anakin's master, and Obi-Wan's going to train Anakin now, and Qui-Gon gets cremated, and then the film ends with this big, flag parade, I guess you want to say. And the music is great and everything that's going on. And then there's this ball, and Boss Nasty's standing in the middle. He goes, peace, and he's holding the ball. I don't know what the ball represents. I guess it represents peace. But, he lifts it, and then the movie ends. With great music. Like I said, through the whole entire film, John Williams' score is phenomenal. One of the best things about the movie. And throughout the whole entire film, I was entertained. I never found myself bored. Now, I do know that it's not a great movie. It's not that good of a movie. The Phantom Menace. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not that good of a movie. But it is an entertaining film, in my opinion. And I could watch... This is like a guilty pleasure for me. Kind of like how I felt about The Last Witch Hunter. It's not a good movie, but it's entertaining the whole way through. And I could watch it and have fun with it. Same thing with The Phantom Menace. I like it. I mean, it's not a good movie, but it's a fun watch for me. You know, like I could just watch it and say, that's a cool scene. I love that, Darth Maul lightsaber duel. Some of the dialogue is crap, but it's like a guilty pleasure for me. So, rating it as a film, I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, 2.5 out of 5 stars. I can't get it to fresh because it's not a fresh movie. I'll give it 2.5. Guys, comment your thoughts. What do you think about The Phantom Menace? Let me know in the comment section. Do you hate it? Are you annoyed by Jar Jar? What are some things that bothered you about the movie? Seriously, comment your thoughts. I'm very curious if you agree with me about certain things or you don't. Also, you can subscribe to this channel. Like I said, this coming Friday, I'll be posting my review for Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, so you can check that out. I've just posted 2 reviews today for Spectre and the Peanuts movie. You can check that out. Also, you have The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 2 coming out, and obviously what I'm doing this review series for, The Force Awakens on December 18th. So guys, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you subscribe. Over and out.